Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Bible. Today we're going to be looking at a well-known story from Genesis chapter 6 through 9 called the story of Noah's Ark. So let's dive right into it. We're going to read from the New International Version. First we see here that the Lord was grieved that he had made humankind, and he was burdened in his heart. It says that humankind had become wicked, that the whole human race had corrupted their ways on earth, and that it was filled with violence. Then God looked upon the earth and saw that it was corrupt, for the imaginations of the men's hearts were evil continually. Thus it came about that God said, I am wiping out humanity whom he had made from the face of the earth, man and animals alike. I will destroy them. I will destroy the earth. Thus it was that Noah found grace in the eyes of the Lord. Being a righteous man, blameless in his generation, Noah walked with God, and he built an ark according to all that God commanded. In the same way, Noah did so in the days before the flood. Unknowingly, there were just people doing their thing. They didn't know what was coming. And then it says that the flood waters were upon the earth 40 days and nights. It was a very long time. And all living creatures died, that were found on dry land, totally wiped out, and everything that was on the earth perished, birds, livestock, and wild animals, all that were on the earth by their kinds. All these died, and Noah alone was left alive, along with those that were in the ark. With him, 2 of every kind, male and female, as God had commanded Noah. Then it says, after the floodwaters had subsided on the earth, and the earth was dried, Noah sent out a dove from the ark to see if the water was abated from off the face of the ground. But it flew and returned to him, because the water was not yet abated from off the earth. And Noah waited another 7 days, and again he sent out the dove from the ark to see if it had any news. But it also flew and did not return to him. Then he sent out a raven, but it flew and never returned to him. So Noah waited another 7 days, and this time he sent out the dove again. And this time the dove came back to him in the evening with an olive leaf plucked off in its mouth, and Noah knew that the water had abated from off the earth. And after 40 days and nights it says that God said to Noah, The end of all flesh has come before me, and I have seen that the earth is corrupt and it is filled with violence. I will wipe it out, both man and animals alike, with a flood, and I will bring an end to every living creature that is with you under heaven. Everything that is on the earth shall die. But I will establish my covenant with day and night, with the offspring of Abraham, with Isaac and Jacob. For their transgressions I will never again bring a flood to destroy the earth. Then God said, Go out with all your household from the ark. You shall bring out with you every living thing that is with you, that it may live and multiply on the earth and become fruitful, and do all the more, replenish the earth and subdue it. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every bird of the heavens, upon everything that moves on the earth, and upon all the fish of the sea. They are delivered into your hand. So Noah, his sons and his wife, and his sons' wives, came out of the ark, and they built an altar to the Lord, and took burnt offerings and fellowship offerings. And the Lord smelled the sweet aroma, and said in his heart, Behold, now my fear has come upon the earth after the flood, lest I again destroy it in the heat of my anger. While the earth remains, as long as grain on the face of it and seed on the ground, there will be no more flood to destroy the earth. Then the sons of Noah who came out of the ark were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And these 3 were the sons of Noah, and they built a city and inhabited it. That's the first part of the story. This is like the abridged version. And it goes on to tell us about how Canaan, who was Noah's grandson, went on to go and get drunk and accidentally laid down in front of his father Noah. And Noah cursed him. And then the descendants of Canaan became the Canaanites, which is a group of people that the Israelites were told not to associate with because they were sinful and wicked. And then the rest of the chapters talk about different laws that God gave to Noah and his descendants. Now, one thing I want to note is that Noah is actually the oldest person we find in the Bible other than Adam. So he lived to be 950 years old. He had sons when he was 500 years old, and the flood happened when he was 600 years old. But the flood wasn't the only thing that happened while he was here. He lived another 350 years after the flood, and it was actually the descendants of Noah that populated the entire world. Now, why is this significant? Well, the idea is that God chose not to wipe out humanity completely, even though he did kill everybody except for Noah, his family, and the animals on the ark. But the idea is that he decided to give the offspring of Noah, these descendants, another chance. So instead of killing them all, he simply killed everyone else. Now, obviously, this wasn't like a mass genocide or anything like that. They were killed by a flood, so it wasn't some sort of premeditated thing where he's like, oh, I'm going to kill them all. No, it was just a flood that happened. But the significance is that he decided not to wipe out humanity. He didn't decide to just kill Noah's offspring either, because he knew that they were sinners too. But he gave them another chance, and that shows us that God is full of grace and mercy, that he is slow to anger and abundant in loving kindness. Another thing I want to say is that this passage clearly shows us that God is sovereign. The text says that he did everything that he did because he wanted to, so God did not need anyone's permission to do what he did. He did it because he wanted to. He was in control of it. He was sovereign over it. Another lesson we can learn is that the world is not getting any better. As we look around, we can see that people are just getting worse and worse. People are dying, sickness, pain, suffering. Everything is just going downhill. We can see that this isn't our home, and we should remember that it says that the earth is the Lord's and all its fullness, the world and those who dwell in it, and that all of us are only aliens and pilgrims here. We shouldn't feel at home in a place that isn't ours. We should feel at home with God and in heaven, because that's ultimately where we're going to spend eternity. Lastly, we can see that God is just, because he judged all the wicked people of the world and he judged them fairly. They had been warned of the flood for 120 years, because the text says that they were so wicked that God was grieved. And that's why he sent the flood. So he warned them for 120 years. And that gives us the idea that God gives people plenty of time to repent and turn to him before he does anything. And he's patient with us. And he's given us plenty of time to turn away from our wicked ways. And hopefully we will do that and live godly lives for him. But anyways, that's the story of Noah's Ark. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Comment, share, and I'll see you next time in the next episode. God bless you.